Hey guys, it's Allie here, and I've got a couple of members of the team popping in. So Paul's been hanging out quite a bit the last week or so, and I wanted to invite you guys in for a quick live stream. I'll tag everyone, get everyone invited. I have a lot of people that'll ask me hey, can you make sure that I'm tagged and invited to all the live stream. So quick live stream with the A team. Well, maybe not too quick. I want to make sure I get questions answered for you guys. Astrologically, there's a lot going on. I don't pay a ton of attention to astrology, but I know that this time last year was huge, and I want to make sure that you guys are feeling really supported. And so the team wanted to come in. I'm going to sit. Hey Brittany, hey Heather. So there's a lot going on energetically right now. A lot of people are having stuff come up. Ashley and I did a really cool live stream, so go check out that live stream. I shared it in here, and I shared it on in the free group, the Conscious Changemakers, and it's on Ashley's page yesterday. Hey Rebecca. And so give me a hell yeah if you are having some stuff come up, heavy emotions, big emotions, feeling unsure, feeling uncertain right now. Can you guys post it in the comments, raise a hand, throw me an emoji if you're having a lot of oh my God, I feel insecure about what's going on in my life right now, money, security, finances, home, health, what's coming in the future. I'm not sure about what's coming in the future with different things. Who's having a lot of that? Yeah, I've had some of this stuff coming up as well. It has been interesting, and I'm seeing it like crazy out and about. I'm feeling the energy of it. I'm having people contact me about it. There's an energy of confusion happening right now. A lot of confusion. Lots and lots of confusion happening for a lot of people. I'm gonna set this down. Oh, there we go, that's better. Okay, so there's a ton of, I'm on my son's little chair. So there's a lot of confusion going on right now. A lot of people, I'm actually having these ebbs and flows where there's I had stuff come up big time the other day, and I was God, I felt so frustrated, and then I'm seeing more of it out there. I'm working on shifting things really quickly. So the team and I wanted to come in and share with you guys some ways to help you guys kind of maneuver through some things. So what's kind of coming up for you guys? So Heather Shin said fear of success. Rebecca said, not me so much, but holy crap, is my family feeling it? Everyone is so angry. Yeah, really heightened emotions right now. People are kind of crabby. People are questioning things. There's a lot of insecurity going on. I know Finn had a full-on temper tantrum last night. He doesn't do that. This was I'm tired, I'm not getting what I want, yada yada, who's been kind of seeing that energy around them, noticing it in people around them, or feeling it themselves, some insecurity, some anger, some frustration, some I'm not sure where I'm going or what I'm supposed to do, and I'm not, I feel there's a lot of questioning. Am I doing this right? Is this okay? I'm I thought I had this figured out. I thought I knew. I was feeling so lit up, and now what? Now I'm feeling what the fuck? The bottom dropped out, and there's all of this anxiety, a lot of uncertainty about the future is happening for a lot of people. So the team is saying, / my higher self is saying, so uncertainty about the future is really about uncertainty about the present, because the future hasn't happened yet. So a lot of you guys get stuck in this uncertainty about the future, meaning that you're kind of construing it as this, they're saying you are blessed beings, you're blessed beings, and they're saying, and you too, Allie. So they're saying, so fear of the future is actually uncertainty about your place in the present. It's really not actually about what's to come, it's about where you are. It's about feeling unsure, and kind of they're kind of showing someone's body right here, and they're showing their soul standing right next to it. You feel you're not at home in yourself. You feel you're not at one with yourself. Hey, can you throw that in the garbage, please? In the garbage, please. It feels the bottom falls out of your joy tank. It literally feels you've lost your love for yourself and your love for life, right? Because when we're in anxiety and we're in terror and fear and we're in that feeling of uncertainty, we don't feel at home in ourselves. We literally are like not in love with ourselves, or not in love with life, or feeling really, really frustrated and stuck and pissed off, right? Emotions from being alone after an amazing weekend. Yeah, I had like a drop, Patty. I had like a
carrot pirate story.
A carrot pirate story. All right, go play it and I'll come right there, okay? I'll come in a minute. So like a lot of, I had like this drop, and like my adrenaline went down, and my feeling of having that collective energy, like the energy of the retreat, was so great. And suddenly I was like, I kept hearing that song, Back to Reality, in my head. And I was like, oh man, like you're on this high after you're on a vacation, and then you've got to come back down, and come back to your everyday, and come back to the real stuff. And so what they're kind of saying is, so it's really not a fear of uncertainty, or a sense of uncertainty about the future, because your ego is the thing that convinces you that the future is like in form right now, because you're thinking about it right now. So you're trying to bring it to form right now, and it's like, but it hasn't happened yet. You're only right now. So you may be able to see the future in your mind, or tell what's coming in the future in your mind. But the thing is, it's not in form here, right now. So you need to still be able to be where you are right now, even if you have, kind of like intuition that pulls into the future, and you can see stuff or sense stuff that's coming for yourself or others. You still have to be here. You're still here at the end of the day. Even if you can see what's coming, you're still here, right? So a lot of precognizance folks, they're saying, have this issue where they can see the future coming, and they have to be at peace with the present. And sometimes you find out things that are coming that you're not really sure about, or you're kind of like unclear of the details or how it's going to happen. And the thing is, what's meant to be is going to be, and you see it because it's meant to be, but then you got to detach from it and be where you are with it, right? So a lot of people, like really intuitive people, have this heightened sense of awareness of future cognizance. And a lot of you guys probably don't realize you're actually tapping into it. You're tapping into a larger collective consciousness mode of energy shifts, which are very much the Lionsgate portal, which is astrologically aligned to your thoughts, emotions, words, vibrations. And it's not that astrology it's like almost kind of like a giant mirror. Like, we make meaning of things astrologically when meaning comes from those things in and of themselves. Like, the Lionsgate portal wasn't always called the Lionsgate portal. We gave it that name. We made it a thing, right? Like, we gave it a portal. It doesn't mean the energy wasn't there, or that there wasn't a shift in collective consciousness at that time, but it means we made meaning of it. We attached to it. So attaching to a certain portal or a certain timeline. So, right, astrology mirrors our attachment to time, right? It mirrors our attachment to categorizing and figuring out and timelining things, like it's Leo season, right? Like, well, why is it Leo season when it's literally everyone with every astrological sign is existing right now? Why is it only Leo season? You know what I mean? Like, they're like, you're only here right now. So Leo or not, I'm a Libra and I'm still existing. It's really interesting. So they're kind of saying the Lionsgate portal isn't the issue, but you can draw upon the energies of what's happening right now. And they're like, we want to teach you this in timelessness. So it's not a certain portal that you need to use. So they kind of like reeled this in by talking about it, but they're like, it's not a certain portal. It's not because of the time of the year. You can use this at any time. You just need to recognize it and pull it forward. So what we want you to do is be true to you and get like really solid in your bodies. And so you're not your body, but you need to be true to your vessel, be true to your form of where you are right now in order to transcend it and elevate yourselves out of the state of consciousness that you're in. Because when you guys get in insecurity, you're really terrified of death in some form. It's really a terror of losing this vessel, of not surviving. Will I survive this? If I lose all my money, will I survive it? If I lose a certain love or relationship or a person, will I survive? Right? They're like, at this time, the collective consciousness is definitely mirroring that Lionsgate portal energy. That energy, they're like, that energy, you guys, is beautiful, crystalline energy. It is always part of your consciousness. It is always pouring towards you. It is what you are. But the thing is, at this time, it's very heightened. And a lot of people are seeing this release of stuff, this release of like massive emotional release, right? Like, you're just having all the shit is coming up and people are like, what the fuck, right? Like, where did this even come from? I had this the other day where I was like, where did this even come from? Why am I having these fears? And they're like, collective consciousness, Allie. So they're like, what you need to do is be true to you, be true to your emotions, be true to who you are, but don't sit in the suffering. You are not required to suffer. You're not required to feel lack. You're not required to move through the shit. You're allowed to, okay? You're allowed to. Source has no conditions, right? It has no conditional programming. It's like I just sit here and observe and see the experience, right? You're not required to suffer. So they're like, we want you to detach from this era of what's being told to you about the Lionsgate portal, and that this is a time when all the shit's got to come up and you're going to clear it. They're like, you don't have to fear it. You don't have to clear it. You don't have to sit in it either. You don't have to experience it that way. You can, a lot of people are experiencing joy. Like this morning I was experiencing joy, heart chakra, pure unconditional love. I was feeling love. Like I was like looking at all this stuff and just going, wow, and feeling all this love for past experiences, right? And feeling all this love in the moment and just like sharing and expressing love. And they're like, that is what the crystalline energy always is. And it is that pure source energy. It's pure love and light. No matter what fucking color you associate with it. It's not a certain color. Source is all. It's all, right? It's pure all. So they keep saying it's really that pure source light energy and entity that you're feeling, but what's happening is your feeling is pushing you into this feeling of healing, right? And a lot of you guys, when a wound heals over, you kind of like try and cauterize it and make it happen faster, and you get like obsessed with the healing process in the spiritual realms, like, right? And they're like, and that makes sense because you're very body conscious, right? You guys are extremely conscious of health and healing. Even, you know, you go to Western doctors, take medicine and stuff like that. So what we want you guys to know is that healing is really heart healing, as in it's a shift in perception from fear to love. If you can see love instead of lack of love, you're going to feel better during this time. Now, this time is it's a very potent gateway for higher collective consciousness beings to come to Earth and help you. And a lot of people are feeling really heightened emotions, very heightened clairsentience. What's happening is telepathy is heightening. Our connections to each other is heightening. It's actually a very beautiful thing. Our connection to them is, it's not that it's any stronger, it's that we're more aware of it. And some people are having massive consciousness explosions right now, where you're going to come out of this time and not be the same person you are. And the ego is going to hang on and go, this isn't safe. It's not safe, right? So it's really, they're like, you need to trust what you know and go with the flow at this time, you guys. Going with the flow will mean that there are things and paces, and for some of you, it's going to be relationships and certain things. Habits, ways that you think, like belief systems, old stories, old programs, old paradigms that are gonna have to go. Jobs, people are gonna lose jobs, people are gonna quit jobs, people are gonna start creating new businesses, people are gonna create new streams of income, people are gonna have houses dropped on their heads. They're showing the Wicked Witch of the West. They're like, that's not their name, but they're saying there's gonna be that feeling of like, everything's changing, and it's the ego trying to hang on that makes this a miserable, suffering experience. You're not required to fucking suffer. It drives me crazy when people tell you you have to suffer in order to, and I'm like, bullshit. Bullshit. Prior programming coming in, right? We are not required to struggle in order to be happy. We don't have to have duality to know what happiness is. We don't have to experience pain to know pleasure. And I'm going to hypothesize that when you feel pain and when you suffer, you're actually happy in it. I know that this is like, what the fuck, Allie? But why else would you be experiencing it other than for the joy of experiencing it, for the attachment of experiencing it? We're all choosing it. There's some part of us that feels validated, seen, heard when we commiserate with people, when we're in pain, when we're in joy. Like when we like enjoy having that commiseration, that gossiping, that distilling of our emotions. We love having people empathize with us and applaud us for overcoming so much, right? When we get to the other side of it, right? We love our struggle to success stories in our society. We love the American dream. We love the work hard, get happy later. I'm getting chills. We love it. We're very attached to it. So if you're going to be in it, you don't have to be of it though. So that's the big difference here, and that's where we start to insert ourselves and meet ourselves in the middle, meet everyone in the middle. Compassion, realizing I'm a human being on this experience. I'm allowed to suffer. I'm allowed to have pain. I'm allowed to have pleasure no matter what I have in my life or who I have in my life or don't have, right? You're allowed to have joy even in the moments where you're like the bottom's completely dropped out. But I still can be happy. I still love myself. Loving yourself through it all is what's going to carry you through these times of heightened emotion. It is what will allow you to feel love for other people. Not just feel love, because love is not a feeling. It is. It just is. It's the vibration. It's the energy. It's the essence of all. Every single person, every single thing, it's all love. It's all just that pure source energy. So when you're experiencing that, though, it can feel joy, jubilation. It can feel anger. Right? It's funny because it's like the ego, we really want to make that ego really wrong, but you know, a lot of times we don't realize how we're misinterpreting what's actually happening and how the ego will try and like hang on and say, no, you're not allowed to love this person, this criminal. You're not allowed to love this guy that cheated on you. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be staying in this job, right? But there is a lot of beauty in saying that there's nothing wrong with right now. I'm allowed to leave toxic experiences, to leave toxic mindsets. That will always be point A, right? If you're thinking about this linearly, you will leave the toxic thinking long before you leave the person, leave the job, right? You're going to have the shift of consciousness first, long before everything else follows. The actions always follow the emotional and mental breakthroughs, right? And that's what I was really realizing throughout this retreat is like, wow, I'm having a lot of breakthroughs behind the scenes here. And they're not going to show up in my actions immediately, but I'm going to start to see them because it's like this gentle unfolding, unpeeling type of thing. Like I was very aware this is the first of many, right? So you guys are going to kind of go through these same things. And a lot of you guys are having these massive triggering experiences. We're seeing it everywhere. I'm having people contacting me about the timing of things, people contacting me about money like crazy. People are being really triggered about relationships leaving them, love, but it's all this fear of everything outside of me not being in me, of me having no control. You do have control. You do. You have control over how you think. You have control over the story you're telling yourself. You have control over what you choose to believe to be true about you. You have control. That's your free will. Free will, God will, same thing. You can control. Am I sitting in the driver's seat trying to control outcomes right here? Or am I going to let myself lean back, observe, and act when I feel called to, and love on myself, and choose loving thoughts, and choose to be at peace? Even if I'm feeling like shit, you can feel like shit and be at peace at the same time. Of course you fucking can. I'm gonna hypothesize and offer you I'll offer you this experience. What if you are at peace all the time? What if you are constantly the observer, watching yourself move through it and go through it at all times? We just sometimes forget to allow ourselves to tap into that perspective. That's all Source is, the constant experiencer and the observer. The totally non-judgmental, non-punishment based observer. Because who do we have to suffer and struggle for? No one. Source doesn't require it. Source is not an angry God sitting up in heaven looking down on us saying, you need to be punished if you don't sacrifice, if you haven't slaved away a certain amount of time. You've sinned. Bullshit. Bullshit. Right? And I would say, if you're sitting there like there's people who do really bad stuff, we need to stop shaming those people because no one changes out of shame. No one changes out of shame. We actually hurt ourselves more when we deny those parts of ourselves that feel really, really wrong. And we don't provide ourselves with that type of nurturing to actually stop the shame cycles and stop the demonizing cycles. And right now, when this beautiful energy is coming in, if you're feeling fear or lack or frustration, or you're feeling lost and alone, it's okay. Let yourself experience that emotion, but just understand that you don't have to tether to it. You don't have to embody it. You don't have to carry it around with you in your cells. No, there is no healing that needs to be done other than your own consciousness perspective. And so what you do for one, you do for all. Have you noticed how when people begin to post and commiserate and do all this stuff, Of course, the interwebs latches on to that. We share it with each other, and then it starts to circle and it grows because everyone's experiencing it and they're trying to transmute it and change it and heal it at the same time. But then everyone starts to go, oh my gosh, me too, me too, me too, right? So we get into this like funnel of like suffering together. We can also lift each other up. And so I would say be very discerning about who you reach out to when you're feeling this stuff. Do you want to reach out to someone who's going to lift you up or someone who's going to commiserate and create more commiserating? I'm not saying to hide your emotions, but I'm saying to be really, really honest about what is true for you and what you need for you. So it's good to have a friend who can meet you where you are and say, I hear you, I feel you, man, I'm having stuff about money come up too, right? Because I've had, like I said, I had my stuff, I had to talk to my friends this weekend, and they didn't have it for 1 second. They wouldn't have it for 1 second. They kept offering me the higher perspective, the higher perspective, the higher perspective, until I finally had a shift and I was out of where I was again. Okay? And I was like, that's who I want in my corner. That's who I want in my corner. That person. Not the person who's going to want to commiserate and suffer and struggle with me. I don't want anyone coming down. I want people who are constantly lifting up, and I want to do the same, right? So this Lionsgate portal is your opportunity. Reach out to those people or become that person. Become that higher aspect of yourself. Sit down, tether in, let your higher self drop in and give you the fucking wisdom, because they're right there. Like, let your guides in. Let God in. Start talking to God. This time last year, I went through the roughest depression I've ever been through. And that is when I started writing hours a day, literally auto-writing back and forth, me asking questions of source and source answering back. Hours every day. Unconditional love answering me back, reminding me of unconditional love over and over and over, explaining the universe to me. Like, this is what you are allowed to have. And that's what, and when I was at a point where I was like, I'm broke, I just got out of the hospital, I'm like suffering, I don't know who I'm supposed to be in the world, right? I don't know if I'm a good parent right now, I feel like shit, I'm crying every day, I don't know, literally I had forgotten, like I would like pick up the Course in Miracles and I'd look at it, I'd feel better for a second and then I'd just start crying again, right? I was like desperately searching for help and I realized I needed to tap into my own inner source. This is a great time for you guys to do that, and guess what? You're only ever right here. So every time, every moment is the perfect moment for you to do this. Every moment is the perfect time for you to tap in and tune in and turn on. You don't have to wait for a portal or for a portal to be closed again or for Leo season to be over, or you know what I mean? You don't have to wait until you make a certain amount of money. You don't have to wait until the house sells. You don't have to wait until the body comes in or that soulmate lover. You're allowed to love yourself right now. And I would take a guess that you already do. You just forget. We just forget, right? Thoughts? Questions? This is a pretty passionate one. So I felt like my higher self was like, questions? Thoughts? Who needs support from the team right now, or your higher selves, or your spirit teams, or wants like readings or guidance? I won't be hard on you guys. What about even when you feel like you're loving yourself in hard times and never feel like you get direct answers? You're looking for the answers outside of you. You need to be your own answer to your own solution, like your own questions. And also they want to position this as your God's answer to peace on earth. So once you accept that about yourself, you're not going to sit down and ask for God or guides or gurus or others to tap into it for you. It's about you recognizing the innate source within you and you being the solution now. So you're not alone. It's also around you and in you. You can experience it in infinite forms, but you need to be that for you too. This is so perfect for now. Oh, good, Heather. I'm glad. So yeah, and if you guys are an infinitely wise woman, we're gonna start to talk more about recognizing intuition. What does it feel like? Connecting with it. Like, how do we know if it's working? Like, how do we know if something's intuition or not? We're going to do lucid channeling, which is channeling the higher self and letting that drop in, and distilling and bringing through really simplistic, beautiful, huge words of wisdom, big ideas, and using it to guide our lives. So we're going to really tap into that now that we've done with the mind portion for the most part. This was good. I like surrounding myself with people who are going to lift me up. Me too. Me too. Could you imagine if more people kept lifting themselves up? We'd eventually all end up being so lifted and consistently able to lift that I think we would stop dipping back down. Like, the whole of society would stop dipping all the time, because everyone would like have that infectious, like glowing, allowed to be happy, no need to attach to suffering and struggle perspective all the time. So people would like just stop eventually. You know, like it would just be fueled with love. Even if you were experiencing something negative, it'd still be love. We'd at least remember that part, you know? It's because it's all love. Yeah, and I love my friends that are lifting me up. I appreciated that because they like literally, and it wasn't that they were being stubborn or they were being mean or, you know, that they were like being like, you know, like going all like tough mom on me. Like they were like literally sitting there and they were like, I literally can't channel anything else for you. This is just what it was, all higher wisdom being brought in, reminding me that I was putting myself into this like energy of needing to worry. They were like, when you let yourself stop worrying, you're gonna, like, you're creating this. And I was like, thank you for literally insisting on the best of me. Thank you for holding me to the highest of me, instead of coming down and dropping down to my level and commiserating with me and going, oh, it sucks and yada yada. And, you know, like I do believe in empathizing, for sure, but they like straight up just said, no, I'm gonna hold the line because I know that you're up here and you just think you're down here. I know who you really are, and so does your team, and I'm gonna bring that shit in for you, right? They were really like holding me back up to my bar. like we're gonna keep reminding you who you are even when you forget, right? And I'm like, that's who I want in my corner. That's a friend. That's a family member. That's an emotional wing woman to me. That's a coach, you know? Remind me who I am when I forget. Help me see my blind spots when I don't see them. That's how I like having in my corner. It's like having that like God presence come in to others when you forget it's in yourself, you know? Questions, comments, advice needed, guidance needed. I think this is a great one for right now. I think I might put this on YouTube too, you guys, because I think it's going to be, I don't have like a huge YouTube following, but I think it'll be helpful for a lot of people to have a different perspective than, oh, Mercury's in retrograde, and you know what I mean? Like, I think we want to have, I like how grounded the team put this, and West MILF. That's what my girlfriends do for me too. They make me a moment to be down, to see me, but then yes, help me see a new perspective, to ship out of it. Yeah, as quickly as possible. And it's awesome for you because, Emily, I will say you have to be willing to see it. So that's awesome that they know they can give that to you and you're not going to get upset about it. You know, like you're coachable. You're open to it. You're like, yes, of course, give me the higher wisdom, help me. I'm not going to resist it anymore, you know? I don't want to be where I am. That's a huge part of changing things and transforming, is recognizing where I am is not, I know this isn't me, help me see me again. Help me remember who I am, you know? Give me the perspective. Those are good friends too, and that's great for you because you had to be open to that in the first place. Just thinking how amazing it would be to share this with a few others that are in my life having these experiences. Yeah, I'll put it in YouTube, Heather. Or they can jump in here, they can come join us. The page for this is bit.ly/ISC -lowercase membership. It's on the intuitivesoulcollective.com website too. It's linked in there, so they can check it out on there. I'm gonna update that page though. But yeah, it's on there if they want to come jump in. And I think I might put this on YouTube, or at least a clip of it. Any other questions, comments, anything? Bueller? Bueller. I'll make sure I get everything I can before we hop off. Anyone? Yeah, so I just want to remind you of the innate unconditional love in you that says, go ahead and feel sad or suffer or struggle if you want. I'm not going to judge you or try to change you, but you don't have to do that. It's not required of me. I'm source. I love myself and I love you unconditionally, and I don't know suffering. I only know love in every single experience, so I require nothing of you. Don't feel like you need to slog through the shit for me. You're just as worthy in my eyes, because how could I not be anything? Like, that would make love conditional, and love is not conditional, it's unconditional, right? Pure source is unconditional. It's like the angry God complex coming back, you know. Patty, LOL. This was a fiery one today, because it's Lionsgate. And they're like, oh, you just got that? I've had a lot of, like, time to tether. When we were in the retreat, I was, like, really tuned in, clairsentiently. I had a lot going on, and then I kind of, like, just moved back out of the clairsentience, which is good with this time, I think. It's been kind of nice to not have it. Yeah, Bueller. I thought you left that. And I've had a lot of Paul here the last couple days, too. He's kind of helping me prepare for, move through some things and prepare for some things. Suffering is not for source, it is for you to grow. And you don't have to suffer. Growth doesn't only happen through suffering. You don't have to. There's no reason. Source is complete. It doesn't need any of that. And you're a source, so why would you need it? You know? It's part of your experience. If it's part of your experience, great, but it's always a shift in perspective away. Like, there's people, the example I'm always reminded of is Gandhi when he went to prison for a while. He was imprisoned because of his, you know, what he was doing. And he meditated and he connected with God, and he chose peace in prison. Literally, he chose peace in prison. And he made potato skin shoes for the head of the prison because he felt so grateful for the experience. He genuinely felt gratitude. Right? And he just talked about that in an episode of the podcast that's coming that I just recorded a week or two ago. So, like, we're literally, you could be in the worst of conditions and not be required to suffer or struggle. And he said, I fasted most of that time too. I went on a food fast. They weren't feeding me anyways. So I chose to shift my perspective. Instead of, I'm not getting what I need, I'm suffering, I can't move, I can't do anything, to, wow, thanks for the peace and the presence. I'm going to choose to fast. I'm going to find my source in this. So in a situation where a lot of people will be like, oh my God, this is so awful, I'm suffering, he flipped that. He chose peace, he chose love. And he's like, he keeps saying, I'm no different than you. He's not like up here. You know, a lot of people pedestal Gandhi. They think he's like up here, and they're like, I'm no different than any of you. I'm part of you. You're part of me. I was just like you. I had the same type of body as you guys did. Nothing was required of me from source either. I just chose peace because it made me happier. I wanted peace and presence, and that's what I chose. Good job, baby. You want to wipe on the towel?